Good evening. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. I made it. I was actually uh, a little bit under the weather today, but I wanted to follow through. Like I said yesterday, I was going to try to stream 30 days in a row. And since it was September the 1st, yesterday, I'm streaming today on a Saturday, September the 2nd. And today I'm going to talk about Fani Willis. Fani Willis, we got some breaking news in regards to Willis. Fani, I'm calling her Fani, but her name is Fani. Fani Willis, the DA that's prosecuting Donald Trump down in Fulton County, Georgia. So we got some news about that. We're gonna talk about some election fraud. I mean, everyone's saying that okay, Republicans have their hands in election fraud. I think that's a false narrative. I believe if you don't believe in the process and you're not an honest person, you could dibble and dabble in election fraud. So Willis, she is they're claiming that she has some ties into election fraud, and we have another case that was discovered of election fraud, and this Democrat parties trying to overturn the election results, and this is in Mississippi somewhere, and they call for this attorney to resign. So we're going to discuss that. And then we got some other stuff that we're going to talk about. Okay. So let me share my screen with you. We're going to talk about uh, a Democrat county supervisor in Hinds, Mississippi. And they're challenging his party's primary election results after discovering massive election fraud. Okay. So this is, like I said, they're trying to act like, just Republicans are doing this. And no, I think it's mainly Democrats that's doing this election fraud. They're not trusting the process. There's been videos that's been leaked out since the last election, since the 2020 election, discovering that, you know, not only votes was recounted and ballots were found under the table or wherever they was finding these ballots and skewing the election, overturning the election results to so they could have political power. Okay. And so this, if you could see on my screen, it says breaking a Democrat. Now I found this on Twitter or X. A Democrat county supervisor in Hinds, Mississippi, is challenging his party primary results after discovering election fraud, massive election fraud. We have videotapes of someone going into the boxes, bringing in thumb drives, bringing in ballots to be inserted into the machines. The person he's talking about is the Hinds County Democrat Party chair. They also have text messages from this chair saying they're not going to allow whoever they was going against. They're basically gonna rig the election. So we're gonna view this video.
Was that she won. Hinds County Democratic Party have a chairperson by the name of Jackie Amos. We believe and we have evidence that Jackie Amos is tampering with the Hinds County elections. I provided each of you with a copy of the information in her conspiracy and correspondence to someone concerning my election on August the 8th. I cannot read all and everything that she said on this paper because some of it, the words are not fit to use. She corresponded with an individual. That individual called the chairperson, Jackie Amos, or texted chairperson Jackie Amos and stated, hey, don't let them cheat Deborah Dixon out of her election. She won fair and square. Jackie Amos' response to that text was that she won, but I'm going to F David Archie on the site. This matter came from the chairperson of the Hinds County Democratic Party. And so on today, we're asking that the Hinds County Democratic Party take immediate action. We're asking that she step down from her position as Hinds County chairperson of the Democratic Party, along with Sandra McCall, who is the secretary, who is her running buddy in and around this election. We have videotape of Jackie Amos going into boxes, bringing in thumb drives, bringing in ballots to be inserted into machines. We have pictures of Jackie Amos participating in what we think that is fraud as well as corruption. And so we want to be absolutely clear that this matter is not only with the Hinds County Democratic Party, but this matter is with every citizen in the state of Mississippi. This is the opportunity to stop corruption and to stop fraud when it comes to elections in the state of Mississippi.
3 components to verify the vote. The first thing is the paper ballot. I stand before you to say 26 out of 26 precincts contain the paper ballots. 26, component 1. Component number 2 are the machine tapes. The machine tapes is a count of every voter that went and used that machine. I stand before you to tell you 26 out of 26 precincts did not include the tapes. Don't worry, there's a third component. There's something called a media stick. It is the brains of the machine. Some of you may call it a thumb drive or something. I stand before you to tell you 26 out of 26 precincts did not include the media sticks in the ballot box. So already you know I'm setting a tone. There's a theme here. There's a theme. But the DS-200 offers an additional measure that they don't mention a lot, but it's there. It's called digital imaging, which is a picture of every ballot. Not one. Not one. Now, that would not have been for the Democratic Party to put in, but that was a request we made to ES&S, and we'll discuss them later. But they should have been afforded to us. Not one digital image. So that whole process of DS-200 being able to tell us what the actual vote was went out the window. We only received paper ballots. Then we have, don't worry, I'm just going to put it out there in the open. There's another mechanism. Each of us, we're familiar. We show our ID. We walk in the poll, show the ID, we sign a book. It's called the voter register. We call it the signature book. And sometimes if we're trying to work as a poll watcher, you'll say, tell me what line you were on so we'll know the number of the vote. 26, I stand corrected. 20 out of 26 precincts did not include that voter signature book. 20 out of 26 did not include the voter signature. Hold on. All hope is not lost yet. There is something that's called the ballot accounting form. I call it the 1040. Line 1 says how many ballots did you get, how many did you use, how many was the affidavit, and how many was spoiled. And you add and subtract. 20 out of 26 precincts did not include the ballot accounting form. There again, we don't know how many votes took place because all we have are the paper ballots. Bear with me. We have absentee ballots. 26 out of 26 precincts, there were no absentee ballots in those boxes. I'm going to explain that. There were no absentee ballots in those boxes out of 26 precincts. But we are creatures of habit, because there were some affidavits. And guess what the number is? 26 out of 26 voting precincts did not have affidavits in the ballot boxes. 26 out of 26 voting precincts, my favorite two words, did not contain the express ballots. Now, as it relates to commingling, this is derelict in duty. That's a blatant violation, disrespect of your work. We found in District 2 material that belonged to District 1 and District 3 and District 5, all in a ballot box that is District 2. That is just a total blatant disrespect, lazy, for lack of a better word, just irresponsible. And not only did I find that, I found it on 3 occasions. Commingling of districts. I didn't say his other precincts. Someone else's district material are in these boxes. If that wasn't enough to rattle you, I found a document dated 2022 for a runoff election in 2022. These women and men brought shame to our electoral process. As it relates to the integrity of the ballots, 26 out of 26 precinct ballot boxes were not sealed properly. They were not affixed over the lock. They did not void when we removed them. Not one seal voided. People had free will to go in and out of those boxes. Let's talk about the seal logs. 20 out of 26 offered a seal log. And even 2 of them mentioned that at the opening of the polls, there were no seals. Mr. Archie already shared that the Democratic Committee, the Executive Committee, did not come. They didn't have to, but you would think this is their election. Oftentimes you see them present. But Mr. Zach Wallace is Hinds County Circuit Clerk. He attended 4 days out of 6. The other 2 days he sent us Mr. Wells. Now, I want to share the media sticks. On Wednesday of last week, the first day of the review, I say to Mr. Zach, where are the media sticks? Listen close. It's recorded. Mr. Zach says to us, I do not know where the media sticks are, Ms. Walker. I said, do you recognize those are brains? Ms. Walker, I do not know where the sticks are. That's on Wednesday. I then asked him on Thursday morning, where are the media sticks? He says, Ms. Walker, I do not know where the media sticks are. I said, could you at least try to find out, Mr. Zach? I need the media sticks. On Friday morning, I asked Mr. Zach, where are the media sticks? I don't know, Ms. Walker. I said, please try to find the media sticks. We did late lunch. When we returned, I said, you got those sticks, Mr. Zach? Not yet, Ms. Walker, but I'm working on it. I stand before you to tell you that about 2:30 on Friday afternoon, Mr. Zach located the media sticks. No, sir. No, ma'am. They were not in the vault at his office locked up. They were here in this building with Election Commissioner Mr. Clark. Mr. Clark said to me, I asked him, when did you get them? I'm not sure of the date that I received them. Who did you get them from? Who gave them to you? He did not answer that question. He advises me that he had the right to be involved with this election. The law does not dictate that he's the custodial person of anything. Those items are to be locked in Mr. Zach's vault. In addition to that, those numbers were not even in a sealed, locked bag. It was a red canvas bag with no lock. To make matters worse, they were all commingled. It was well over 100. The law does not allow me to handle materials outside of the precinct that I'm representing. To make matters even worse, Mr. Clark had the audacity to walk back to his office and keep the media sticks. He never turned them over to Mr. Zach. He never, in our presence, turned those sticks over to Mr. Zach. So before you leave, check with Mr. Clark. He still may have them in his possession. These are outside of the statutes, not thus says Cynthia Walker, but thus says the law of Mississippi. Not only did that happen, when I talked to Mr. Zach about the affidavits, every day I spoke to Mr. Zach about the affidavits, and every day Mr. Zach told me, Ms. Walker, I don't know where they are. I don't know where they are, Ms. Walker. The ballots that had been voted and counted for affidavits. Didn't know where they were. In the matter of the absentee ballots that should have been in our box, Mr. Zach did tell me they were under lock and key at his office. Mr. Zach received notice that we were coming here for a review. Those ballots should have been brought here. And when I asked him why did they not bring the absentee ballots to this location, he said, first of all, Ms. Walker, it's 2 boxes. They're in a paper. They're in 2 paper boxes. And they're commingled. And it's nearly 1,800 of them. You, Ms. Walker, will have to decide which one belonged to Mr. Archie. That's not what the law says. That does not fall within the scope of my responsibility. When I tell you the Democratic Hinds County Executive Committee failed their constituents, I pray that Mr. Archie will take these notes. I challenge you all to take them. Ask each one of these election commissioners, don't I know what I'm talking about? I challenge you all to go up there and call Kyle Kirkpatrick at Kirkpatrick at the Secretary of State's office. And I will tell you that he's going to tell you these are felony infractions. No one has the right to remove ballot information from these boxes. All of this, I will not leave this podium without mentioning ES&S, because that's the question y'all have. I can read your mind. Before the review, Mr. Zach notified Mr. Archie and his opponent that ES&S had been notified. They agreed to come to the ballot box review. But when we arrived on Wednesday, we received that they were going to be available by phone. They were not providing those digital imaging. That was Wednesday. On Friday, I called them when we located the media sticks. Spoke to a man named Mr. Ken Williams. And Mr. Ken said, my question was, we found one tape. But why does it say August 28th? And we are working on August 8th. Mr. Ken tells me he cannot answer that question. Mr. Ken did agree to come the next morning for the ballot box review. You know the answer. Mine read me, Mr. Ken, and no other representative from ES&S has presented themselves for this ballot box review. When I told you that we are detailed and we are methodical, I want Hinds County to know. I'm from a county that has their own problems, and I stand and I'm fighting theirs as well. But I also want us to know all of the materials were withheld from this review process because it's my professional, I didn't say opinion, my professional position, because I've done nearly 40 ballot box reviews. And never, N-E-V-E-R, have I seen such a poor representation of ballot boxes. Never in almost 40 reviews. And I've been doing this 50 plus years. These materials were withheld because they knew full well. They knew the Jackie Amos's and Tony Johnson, whoever has influence, they knew full well that there was no balancing in those paper ballots. They dictated the number of paper ballots, and they gave us nothing to support it. Not one, nothing to support. But the law says they should. The law says they should. The law says they should. The executive committee decision to withhold these voting documents denied Supervisor David Archie his absolute right to verify the true vote. But even more, you disrespected the constituents of Hinds too.
Right.
We will not know the will of the voter. No one has the right to think that they can operate elections the Burger King thing, have it your way.
Right.
It's out in the open today. It's out in the open. There will be nothing else to hide because I'm not like others. Baby, I know this stuff. Take it to the bank. I know it. I attend the Secretary of State's training. I've done enough ballot box reviews, I can close my eyes. I talk a lot, but I walk the talk. I know when fraud is amongst us. I know when you oftentimes have 1 or 2 boxes that's astray. But when 26 boxes is compromised, there is gross misconduct. There's radical departure from the election laws. I challenge you news investigators, ask one of the commissioners, call Cal, verify, confirm me. And I tell you every item that I have listed is against Mississippi statute. Their negative behavior impeded his right. And I'm encouraging, let's put it out in the open, I'm encouraging Mr. Archie to leave here, because he always invites y'all, follow me, to leave here and file criminal charges against Tony, against Jackie Amos, who's going to say Tony is her co-conspirator. I stand before you right now. To say this is an illegal process. This man is due. This man is due his re-election. The constituents are due. He's not asking for anything outside of what is absolutely dictated by law. And anyone that gets offended, I told them that the other day. There was a heated exchange. If somebody's angry, take it up with the Democratic Party, the executive committee. They're the ones that did the poop work, not us. I'm just the examiner. I am Cynthia Johnson Walker. I stand on this message, and I approve this message that starting today, we're going to have a new way, an honest, fair way of election. Because if not, I'm calling you out. And I call you out free. This is enough already. I thank you for your time. If you need a copy of my notes, I'm sure Mr. Archie will say we can give them. And I pray that you all, the investigators that you are, take this story and verify if it's weighted, if it's truthful. Thank you again for your time.
So this was in Hinds, Mississippi, and the Democratic County supervisor, I guess he was questioning the election, okay? And the examiner, the lady that her name was Cynthia Johnson Walker, the lady that was just speaking, she said there's over 8 different ways to verify the election. The first 3, they should fall in line. And that means the media stick, the precinct ballot box, it has to match whatever ballots that's in the precinct ballot box. Those ballots have to match with the media stick. And then whenever you insert your ballot, it should take a picture of the ballot. And those 3 things was missing. So I guess that's what they use to verify how many ballots were submitted, and the imaging, so they could like cross-reference and do a quality control check. But all that stuff was missing. Then, the ballots didn't match up with the number of ballots that was actually in the box. They were saying the signature was missing. When you go in for your to actually sign, you have to present your ID or your voter registration card, and you have to sign that line or print out that paper. and they correspond the paper with the actual ballot number on your ballot. She said that was missing. So on all the precincts, it's 26 precincts, and all the precincts it was missing. So it's kind of odd to me where they're just now, I guess, you know, you go in, you have your people that count the votes or whatever. And it's kind of odd how they are trying to, well, she said they've been trying to get all the information so they could verify the election, but they've been stonewalling her. And reason why they were stonewalling her, because they was doing some illegal shit. Okay. So this is off a local report, and it's kind of crazy how they worded this. This is a local news station, what I'm sharing with you. Hinds County supervisor continues to claim corruption after election loss. Now, it's not, when you say claim, okay, you could continue to claim after election loss, but they're trying to make it like he's making false claims. To me, that's kind of odd after they have unsurmountable a mountain of evidence against these people, saying, yeah, this was election fraud because we have a system of checks and balances and that we go by, and how we could verify each vote. And we can't even do that because all of this stuff been tampered with, or it's missing. It doesn't match up. So, like I said, it's pretty odd for me to for us to read Hinds County supervisor continues to claim corruption after election loss. Okay, you know, he's not claiming it. You can't verify the election. So, you know, let's call a spade a spade. So this is what they're saying on this report.
Well, Archie is gearing up for a legal fight. He wants a completely new election, a do-over. As for the man who defeated him 3 weeks ago, he now accusing Archie of making death threats.
This is the last box.
But this is the last precinct. Thank you, Mr.
The last box opened as Hinds County District 2 Supervisor David Archie wraps up his review of all the ballots cast in the August 8th primary. Archie believes he lost the election to retired business owner Anthony Smith because of what Archie calls ballot box manipulation.
On yesterday, there was 22 boxes that we had completed. And in those 22 boxes, there was many concern out of 20 boxes.
Archie would not disclose the concerns he says his team found from their examination. Smith defeated Archie 2-1. He says the ballot box review is a big waste of time.
The little things that they found are just insequential because, I mean, the machines did the count, and the counts were accurate. But, you know, it's just that some people can't accept fate. You know, they can't lose with dignity.
Despite Archie's claims of possible election fraud, he lost all but one of 26 precincts in the district.
I only won one box, and that was the town of Edwards. It is unheard of, so we knew going in that we had to pay close attention.
I ran an effective grassroots campaign. I went out to the people. I spoke to the people.
We've gotten into the discussion on several occasions, so you might as well stop it.
It's a public building. It's a public building. I'm not going to have a discussion with you, sir.
Tensions between the two men have been boiling. Smith says he's considering filing criminal charges against Archie after he says Archie threatened his life.
Last week he said my mama, and I said, look, man, my mama died, and you know it, in April. Then the next Friday he says your mama, and you'll soon be seeing her. To me, that's a threat. That's a death threat.
Did you threaten him?
Absolutely 110% not. Absolutely 110% not. Tell him to prove it. Tell him to prove that I made death threats to him.
Now, Smith said he did file paperwork with the sheriff's office, but he hasn't taken the next step to actually file charges to have Mr. Archie possibly picked up on that accusation. As for Mr. Archie's claims about what he found, what his ballot box examination found, he says he plans to make that public tomorrow at a news conference. For now, we're live at the Hinds County Courthouse. Ross Adams, 16 WAPT News.
So yeah, so that's in Hinds County or Hinds, Mississippi. It's funny because that's, you know, their exchange was real country. But yeah, election fraud. This is election fraud with Democratic Party, you know, and they said they had some text messages from one of the, what is it called? One of the not examiners, but people that take the ballots. So saying that, you know, they didn't want this guy right here to steal the election from the other guy. So they made it happen. So, and what they found or what they revealed after they examined the boxes and, you know, the media stick and all that stuff, this is damning evidence against their election process. And it's sad because this is in a small town. So if it's happening in a small town, you know it's happening in a big town. You know. So we're going to go to Fani or Fani. Yeah, the poll workers. Yeah, the poll workers are the ones who's, you know, taking the ballots and all that stuff. Do the poll workers actually count the ballots? I'm not for sure. I think they have other people doing that. But anyway, whoever they trusted or was part of that particular precinct, they didn't use all the systems in place. It's a bunch of fraud going on because they have, like I said, 8 different things that they're supposed to do to verify how many ballots there were, how many people mailed their stuff in, how many people actually came into the election office. You have all these systems and checks that were compromised. And you can't tell me all of them are compromised. They're saying every single last one of how they verify election results, all of them were compromised. So what do you say to that? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, they're calling this explosive revelation. Explosive revelation. Fani Willis linked to massive election fraud and money laundering. RICO enterprise. This was reported by the Georgia Record. And it says, in a shocking turn of events, a bombshell investigation has uncovered a jaw-dropping connection between Fani Willis and a sprawling web of election fraud and money laundering activities. It says this investigation spans across multiple states and multiple jurisdictions, has revealed a complex network of illicit operations aimed at undermining the very foundation of our constitutional republic and the rule of law. Sources close to the matter suggest that Willis was a massive beneficiary in a federal and a Georgia RICO enterprise. It appears that she is currently playing a key role in orchestrating a systematic scheme to manipulate election outcomes, casting doubt on the integrity of the entire electoral process. It says in the lead up to the 2022 midterm elections, by team uncovered a massive money laundering network of campaign financing contribution being made via Act Blue. One of the top beneficiaries of this money laundering RICO enterprise was none other than Georgia's Senator Raphael Warnock. The Gateway Pundit was the first news organization to cover the massive money laundering network that financed the Raphael Warnock campaign. So they're saying that they expand their investigation process to Missouri, Maryland, Wisconsin, Arizona, and then into every single state. Working with Epoch Times investigative journalist Stephen Kovac, we made some stunning findings. Many of the top Act Blue contributors never made the individual contribution. Many of these non-employed individual contributors were where the victims are highly sophisticated money laundering scheme. They said the scheme exposed when I provided the data to James O'Keefe and his people, O'Keefe Media Group, who captured many unwitting money laundering smurf in Maryland. It says this massive ongoing money laundering operations involves wire fraud, invasion of campaign finance limits, structuring of finance transactions, tax fraud, nonprofit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. The RICO operations is still in operations today using identities of unwitting elderly and other Democrat voters. This massive RICO money laundering enterprise is fuel for the entire election fraud RICO operation. They're saying buying a district attorney, which this is Alvin Bragg, massive numbers of campaign finance contributors from networks of individuals who have been identified as Smurfs. The investigation into Alvin Bragg also helped to uncover the use of prepaid credit and debit cards in structuring the campaign finance contribution and payment of ballot harvesting mules. It says, does anyone find it interesting that Alvin Bragg charged Donald Trump criminally after the campaign finance violations while benefiting from the money laundering RICO enterprise? Has Alvin Bragg refunded all the illegal campaign finance contribution made to his campaign? It's saying buying the justice you want. Someone in Wisconsin, Supreme Court race of Janet, I don't know how to pronounce her name, but it's Protasiewicz. I believe that's how you pronounce it. A campaign took a massive amount of money from individual contributors. So this Act Blue, it sounds like this is a PAC, a super PAC or something like that. And they're saying this Act Blue donated money to all these people. Alvin Bragg, Supreme Court Justice in Wisconsin, they said over 23 million was raised in this Act Blue. And it was largely through Soros-linked organization in the Act Blue money laundering enterprise. I believe it. If it says Soros behind it, I believe it. And they're saying to follow the money, so we did. And this is the database. They found that Fani Willis, or Fani Willis. Let me see if I can enlarge this so you can see it. Oh, it's not going to enlarge that. Okay, so this is Fani Willis campaign contributors. The problem is when you have a campaign contributor, it can't go. I forget what the. Okay, look at this. I forget what the amount is, but they have to let it be known. It can't be anonymous. I don't know what the threshold amount is, but it can't be anonymous. And that's they're saying that, you know, they have these individual contributors that donated about 161,000. And 5,000, they saying it was anonymous. And they're saying the total I'm assuming the total expenditures of what she spent out of this account was 14,000. So I guess the problem is okay, where is this money coming from? They saying the individual contributors, the first item we identified in Fani Willis campaign, let me show you this. Fani Willis campaign finance report was that there are 222 contributors to her campaign that had zero donor information. Zero donor information. So where is this money coming from? Another point of interest was that many of the campaign contributors to Fani Willis campaigns were from out of the state contributors. Many of these out of state contributors fit the profile of the Act Blue money laundering scheme victims as participants that we had identified in every single state across America. You could check the names for yourself using the FEC campaign finance database here. When you have a super PAC, so super PACs or any type of PAC, any contribution made over a certain dollar amount, they got to list that. That's same with campaign finances. If they donate to your fund over a certain dollar amount, they have to put the name of the donor, you know. So, and that's why they're calling it Smurfs. Smurfs is the Blue Act. I think that's what they're saying. The Blue Act Blue money laundering scheme. Why would elderly people who do not contribute in their own local elections be interested in making a campaign contribution to a little-known Georgia district attorney beginning in 2022? We don't know. That's a good question. Why would a person in Wisconsin or any other state contribute to Fani Lewis campaign? Because these people didn't know they was contributing to Fani Lewis. That's why they used that. That's why they said elder abuse. If we go back up here, they mentioned tax fraud, nonprofit fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. That's why they mentioned that. Identity fraud and elder abuse. because they're taking advantage of old people. It says, upon further investigation, a pattern seemed to emerge yet. When contacted about making campaign contributions to Fani Willis, one of the elderly people on the list stated that she never made a single campaign finance contribution to her campaign. She assured me that she had not made multiple campaign contributions. Another interesting pattern raised significant questions. Why had this particular campaign contributor been using address in multiple states to make campaign contributions? Upon further investigation, this Fani Willis campaign contributor was registered to vote in several states. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember me talking about this a while back when they started that whole thing. Oh, it's COVID. You can mail in your ballots. And I said, hey, I received like 5 ballots. Like, literally, I received 5 ballots with my name on it. My husband received 5 ballots with his name on it. And they were telling us, oh, mail it in. You can mail your ballots in. Oh, you're not in Michigan? You can mail it in. Oh, you're going out of town? You can mail it in. Oh, you're afraid of COVID? Mail in your ballots. And like literally every month before the election, we received these mail-in ballots. So now we got elders that they probably didn't know they was registered to vote in multiple states. They didn't know that. They did not know they was registered to vote in multiple states. It says another individual, Fani Willis campaign contributor, who had made a single campaign contribution, was also identified as an individual contributor, making campaign finance contributions using addresses in multiple states to include Florida, Wisconsin, Illinois, and New York. I'm pretty sure there's a pattern here. These individual contributors, if you go and look to see where they're registered at, they're probably registered in multiple states. Why did they pick these states? We don't know. Maybe these states are, on the balance. Maybe they're swing states. Not for sure. Florida, I don't think Florida is a swing state, but in New York, but maybe Wisconsin and Illinois, maybe those are swing states. We don't know. But maybe they're trying to make it seem like it's real. Something's going on in those states that they need to have some type of political power in those states. Coincidentally, the individual made identical contributions via ActBlue to the same PACs and campaigns. This same individual was also listed as a registered voter in multiple states, casting vote by mail ballots. Now, you notice they're not going to name the individual contributor either. They probably don't want nothing to happen to them. Because if you could pull together $23 million, the Soros people, so you could pull your election strings and you could have your political power and do as you will, you could get rid of some people, especially some elderly people. Now, this is like totally way more conspiracy theory than I ever get into. But like this is what we're dealing with. I'm not a well, I am actually a conspiracy theorist, but I don't get into the weeds. I don't get deep down in the weeds. Some people are kind of crazy with it. But this is what we're dealing with. People are trying to have political power. Do as they will. And Fani, it sounds like to me, she's part of that whole ring, the Soros ring, Alvin Bragg. Have you guys noticed the thing even with Trump? They got all these black people prosecuting Trump because they sold to the devil, basically. And I'm talking about Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg, all these trumped up charges that they're putting on Donald Trump. It's really ridiculous. And it says, as we investigated the individual contributors to Fani Willis campaign and examined their ongoing contributions via Act Blue, we see that all of these individuals are making contribution to the same PAC and candidates. This is an ongoing pattern of activities as appears to have started in the great scale of 2018 and has rapidly accelerated at the federal and state local levels. One out of the state Fani Willis campaign contributors had made over 9,178 individual contributions just at the federal level since 2018. And it's saying, what does it cost to buy a DA race? It costs $226,000 apparently. It says, how is it that so many people out of the state that are not employed are making so many campaign finance contributions to little known district attorney in Atlanta, Georgia, beginning in 2022? What is being seen at the growing and alarming rate is that the nationwide money laundering RICO enterprise is making more and more contributions to PACs, and these PACs are financing local candidates. Many of these PACs have strong ties to numerous Soros-connected organizations that are active participants in nationwide election fraud, money laundering, terrorist networking finance, and massive ongoing RICO enterprise. It says, since we first exposed Act Blue enterprise funding, Warnock and the other Democrat candidates and PACs have started to shift the way that they have been operating. However, we have clearly identified who's involved and how they have been illegally influenced the outcomes of the elections nationwide. These criminal organizations are also share significant connections to the law firm Perkins and Coy. I think I'm pronouncing that right. This is the same law firm that is behind the false claims of Russian collusion on the part of Trump campaign in 2016. The image below is an excerpt from the deposition of the FBI agent Elvis Chain, where he admits that he conspired to censor Americans on the big tech and social media platform. You guys remember that they had him over Elvis Chain. He testified in front of the oversight committee or judiciary committee. This activity amounted the largest campaign finance violation in history of the United States via an undisclosed in-kind campaign finance contribution first reported in the Gateway Pundit. Like I said, I'm not surprised about this. I'm not surprised about this. Warnock, remember Warnock? He was struggling. He was struggling. I forget who did he race again. It was a Republican, and his race was tight. Remember Herschel Walker. Raphael Warnock defeated Herschel Walker. You guys, I don't know how long you've been following me. I talked about Herschel Walker a long time ago, maybe once or twice. But Herschel Walker to me is not the epitome of representation of anyone speaking for you. You know, even though he's a conservative, but I think if Raphael Warnock, in my mind, I was thinking like, what is wrong with Georgia for them to say, oh, we want to elect Herschel Walker over this intellectual person, Raphael Warnock, and he was a minister. Raphael Warnock, I think he's a minister, right? So I was thinking like, okay, and it was a runoff. Wasn't there election a runoff? Yeah, it was a runoff. And I'm thinking like, okay, why are Georgians pushing towards Walker? To me, it should have been a landslide because Herschel Walker was not well spoken. You couldn't hardly understand what he was saying most of the time. But I know he supported Trump. And Raphael Warnock had a hard time beating him. Like, it was a runoff. So, and Warnock had to join the Smurfers or Blue Act or whatever, Act Blue committee to even win. He had to commit fraud to even win against Herschel Walker. What does that say? So people of Georgia probably knew something was wrong with Warnock, and they probably mad as hell that he's been elected. You know? It says most large criminal money laundering enterprise functions with the assistance of willing attorneys and bankers. Perkins Coie is by far one of the largest beneficiaries of this RICO money laundering network. The firm received vast sums of illicit money via legal fees paid by the PAC and the committees who helped launder the campaign finance contributions made in the name of over 1 million individuals whose identities have been stolen and used to structure financial transactions and circumvent federal campaign finance limits. ActBlue and the numerous PACs, nonprofits, and organizations have been utilizing the services of several large banking institutions. They are J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Amalgamated Bank. If these esteemed financial institutions have been doing any form of AML fraud detections and compliance, they would have filed suspicious activity reports and should have certainly raised alarms. Where these reports filed, who filed, or who failed to act. And now they got this question. Has the criminal enterprise infiltrated the United States Department of Justice and weaponized it against their political opposition? I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes on this. Because the DOJ we could just say that. It ain't Donald Trump. Patricia Davis says Warnock is asking for donations. Oh, he is. Okay. Kimmy Joe, this is much deeper. It's all about the agenda in 2030, which would turn our country into the third world socialist one world government. Yeah, I think that's what they're pushing. It's a very socialist country and one world government. That's the signs of the time. I mean, if you read the Bible and Revelation, they talk about the one world order. And I'm not surprised about that. I'm not surprised. This is going to this state, this socialist state. You know, and it's funny how liberals or extreme liberals or progressive will use the word fascism. You know, they use the word fascism. They call Trump fascism or fascist. Anybody that's conservative, oh, you're fascist. But I don't really think they know what the true meaning of fascism, because if they did, they wouldn't use that word, because that's what they're describing themselves. But yeah, they want the one world order, one world government. So, and I mean, how can we stop that? We in papers like these, newspapers like these that actually do the investigative journalism to get the real truth out. You won't see this on CNN. We're not going to see this on CNN. We're probably, you got to be a small paper that actually doing the journalism, because they would call this extreme conspiracy theory. It says, how can the FEC continue to claim ignorance? The evidence of a massive RICO operations and money laundering enterprise is being directly reported to them. This certainly would fall into the category of willful blindness doctrine on their part. We have seen extensive issues with the way that the FEC is handling the data and the receipts of this illicit campaign finance contribution. Commissioner Traynor has turned a blind eye to many of these violations. This was first reported via my personal communication to the FEC and covered by the Gateway Pundit. The infiltration of the FEC can also be best viewed through the lens of the FEC claims that there was no issue with Twitter's censorship of the Hunter Biden laptop story illegally interfering with a legitimate news story that definitely affected the outcome of the 2020 election. I don't see why they would have said this didn't have an effect of the outcome of the 2020 election. I think it did. When they censored it, people didn't know. People didn't know the main story that Hunter Biden had all these business dealings in Ukraine with Burisma, and he has no type of experience besides his daddy is in a high position, political position that can do certain things and make certain things happen. So I don't understand why they would say the censorship did not affect the election. Anyway, the RICO Act, which stands for the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act, is a federal law in the United States that was enacted in 1970. It was passed as a part of an Organized Crime Control Act to combat organized criminal enterprises, particularly those associated with organized crime syndicates. While the racketeering or RICO is primarily a federal law in the United States, some states have adopted their own version of the RICO, and it's called State RICO or Little RICO. Georgia is one of the states which has a RICO statute. Congress described RICO as an act designed to prevent the known mobsters from infiltrating legitimate businesses. And it says RICO outlaws 4 types of activities: income derived from a pattern of racketeering activity, prohibits a person from using a pattern of racketeering activities to acquire or maintain control over an enterprise, conducting affairs of an enterprise through a pattern of racketeering, conspiring to violate or racketeering activity as an element of common to all RICO prohibitions. So, and then it starts to get into some legal jargon. They're talking about mail fraud and wire fraud, which will go into that, because if you think about mail-in ballots, that's mail fraud. Okay, so you committed a crime through the mail because you voted illegally, number one. And then you probably registered through the mail, which was illegal. So mail fraud, wire fraud. And then you falsified documents saying, oh, I'm going to contribute to whatever the super PAC or these individual campaigns under false people. You stole those people's information, wire fraud. Okay, so yeah, we know it, they violate all these things. It says Fani Willis, once seen as a rising star in Georgia political arena, is now grappling with a full-blown scandal that threatens her irreparable tarnish her reputations and upend her career. The implications of these revelations are far-reaching, serving as a stark reminder of fragility of the trust in public officials and the lengths of some might go for the power and wealth. In the days and weeks to come, as the investigation intensifies, the world will be watching closely to see how the authorities handle this unprecedented crisis. The fate of Fani Willis hangs in the balance, and the truth behind this explosive allegations will undoubtedly reshape the course of history. The author name is Chris Gleason, and this is from the Georgia Register. I think that's what the paper is called. The Georgia Record. The Georgia Record. I want to see. if they had any more information about this. And it looks like the two tweets I found was about the same information we just read on this report. Now, where did Fani Willis? I hope haven't been calling her Lewis for the past hour, but Fani Willis. If you look into her background, she seemed like she had a pretty decent background. Her mother passed when she was young. I believe that's what it says. But her father was part of the Black Panther Party. Let me see if I can find that story. And this was on the New York Post. Trump prosecutor Fani Willis, dad was a top Black Panther who called cops enemies. He was also a district attorney too. Or I don't know if he was the district attorney, but he ended up becoming an attorney in Los Angeles. The father of Fani Willis was a prominent Black Panther who called police an enemy. New recordings have revealed. His name is John C. Floyd. And he told academic researchers that he considered police in his native Los Angeles in the 1960s to be an occupying army. There was nothing but trouble. He is now 80, also called a prominent white politician of the era, a Texas cracker. And he suggested that he believed the conspiracy theories that the Malcolm X was assassinated by the CIA. I mean, I don't know who assassinated Malcolm X, but I do believe the CIA probably had something to do with it. So I don't think that's a far reach or a stretch. I think it's believable to say the CIA probably had something to do with Malcolm X's assassination. But anyway, Floyd is extremely close to his daughter, who has brought a sprawling anti-racketeering case against the former president and 18 others, including the personal attorney Rudy Giuliani. So this is her dad. This is probably a younger her. He said he met Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. This is her. She was born in 1971. And she credits her father for her values and a career as an attorney, and told the Post that he was a great man to whom she speaks as often as 10 times a day. Floyd has said he brought up Willis as a single father, moving to Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. when she was in first grade. But they said he had high-ranking membership in the Black Panther Party. Floyd was a founding member in 1967 and at one point, chairman of the Black Panther political party, a faction of the Black Panthers that was more moderate than the others. Floyd became a defense attorney after splitting from the Panthers in the early 1970s. Before then, he told the interview in California State University Tom and Ethel Bradley Center, he was so high up in the Black Panthers that he became the first friends of Martin Luther King. Speaking to the Bradley Center for its Black Panther Archive series, Floyd said that growing up in Inglewood, Los Angeles, he and other African Americans never went to the police despite the area being riddled with crime. So, because they considered the police the enemy. He said by the time in 1960, there was tensions between Black groups in LA and the prominent California Democratic politician Jesse Unrun. At the time, the Speaker of the State Assembly intervened to mediate. Floyd said Unrun, nicknamed Big Daddy, was a fat Texas cracker. He said, I was so pissed off. How could this Texas cracker come here and run the Black community? And I was just livid. So, this is just going on about, his time in the party, and he actually left the movement. He said when Willis was born in 1971 in Inglewood, when she was in first grade, moved to Washington with her father, who became a criminal defense attorney, and said to have become disillusioned with the Black Panther movement. Anyway, so her dad was one of the founding members of the Black Panther Party. And it's kind of crazy to me. How did you become a Democrat? You're a Black nationalist and you become a Democrat. To me, that's kind of wild. That don't even go with what your whole thing is, right? Let me know in the chat. I don't even know how that works out. Your daughter is a Democrat, and usually Black Panther Party, they're more conservative. So it's kind of unclear to me how that ended up working out like that. Anyway, that's enough about Fani Willis. My next story, I'm going to talk about this one really crazy person. I don't even know her name. I just found it on Twitter. And she's crying. Well, before I get to that, I want to talk about Bill Mayer and John Mellencamp. I got this little insert from them, and you guys probably seen this clip. And it's kind of wild how people make claims that they feel like how Black people live, and probably don't even know any Black people. Like, do you really know Black people? But it's all that victimization. They want you to be a victim. I believe that's what his point was, to get sympathy for the Black community. But no, we don't need your sympathy.
Would love to have it.
So this is their interaction. I guess Millenkamp was on with Bill Mayer on his podcast, and I guess he was trying to make him aware how Black people live.
Say that us white people love to have Black people entertain us.
I would say that the playing fields are a lot better than the cotton fields. That's what I would say about that. Maybe I'm crazy, John, but it seems like making no money as a slave picking cotton was not as good as playing left field for the Yankees. I mean, I'm sure there were reasons why.
Listen,
Dave Winfield has some beefs against Steinbrenner. I'm sure.
No doubt, there is 1 or 2% of Black people in America who have a better life.
Oh, stop! That's what you think? 1 or 2%?
Okay, let's say 10%.
This is what he's claiming, and I'm not. I had to stop it because to me it's really bizarre why he would say this. He claims, let's go with the 10%. He claims 10% of Black people are in a better situation than they were while they were slaves. Like only 10%. Like our lives are just horrific. 90% of you Black people, if you're listening, your life is just worse off as you being a slave. That means you're like really out of touch. You're out of touch.
I would say that the playing fields are a lot better than the cotton fields. That's what I would say about that. Maybe I'm crazy, John, but it seems like making no money as a slave picking cotton was not as good as playing left field for the Yankees. I mean, I'm sure there were reasons why.
Listen,
Dave Winfield has some beefs against Steinbrenner. I'm sure.
No doubt, there is 1 or 2% of Black people in America who have a better life.
Oh, stop! That's what you think? 1 or 2%?
Okay, let's say 10%. I'm just pulling a number out of my ass.
It is that's where it belongs.
Hey, I just pulled a number out of my ass.
I know, but I'm telling you, that's just not true.
It is not true. John, you need to wake up. He's saying that only 90% of you are still, you might as well be a slave. You might as well be a slave. And this guy, look, somebody put, this guy still smokes. Like, what planet are you on? Like, why do you think that Black folks is just downtrodden? Like, we might as well stay slaves. It's like, where do you get that from? But maybe he's listening to the media and saying, listening to liberal media and seeing how bad it is. Because that's what they're saying is so bad for Black people. Like, we don't have any civil freedoms. We don't have any freedoms. So maybe that's where he's getting at. Some of these tweets are kind of crazy. Lisa de Tejeda. Mayor, which playing fields? Is he speaking about sports or Black male athletes and everyone else? Everyone else that hasn't been redlined had misfortune with the legal system or drugs. What about women, children, elders, disabled? Mayor has totally lost the plot. So she agrees with this guy. And of course, this is a white woman. you know, they're talking about red line. I mean, I'm not old enough to witness redlining. Um, you know, you putting in a certain areas, you can only buy in a certain areas. I I'm not old enough to witness that. I don't know what she's talking about either. So you do have some people think that that agrees with him. Dorothy says, what? He wants black people to entertain him? OMG, he's disgusting. I think they're talking about Bill Mayer. This is from Brightly. That's who tweeted this thing. I tried to find the long video, but I couldn't find it. But I don't understand why people think black people just living like the worst. Like we might as well stayed slaves, I guess. I'm not for sure where they're getting it. I don't know if you guys remember or if you ever seen that documentary Colin Kaepernick produced. And on the intro of the documentary, he was claiming that slaves, or he made a comparison, football, playing in the football, NFL, is the same as modern day slavery. That's how far I got in the documentary. It was like the first few minutes of the documentary. And I had to tell myself, oh, hell no. Like, he is not all there in the brain. Because last I checked, slaves didn't get paid. And they were doing work that they didn't want to do. But you have the NFL, you get paid millions of dollars in the NFL if you get enough. I mean, it's back-breaking work. But you're famous, millions of dollars, you get sponsorship, and you don't have to do it. So maybe that's, if you're not an athlete, you're not living you might as well be a slave. I just don't understand the mindset of this guy. You know, I don't understand. And I'm glad Bill Mayer gave him some pushback on that. Matt Torrance he says, isn't it a little weird listening to white guys talk about the black experience in America? Yeah, I kind of find that odd. You know, I I really find that odd when another race tells you about how you should feel, you know, and you living in that race. You know, you've been that race your whole entire life, and they're trying to say, oh, don't you feel bad? You know, or whatever they're trying to project, whatever feelings that they're trying to project on you. I really feel I think that's kind of odd, and it's a little bit weird for people to do that. I ran across another tweet, and you know what? I think I retweeted it, and someone called it black splaining. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, maybe I did retweet it. But anyway, I think it's kind of odd for people to do that. Like you're telling a person they lived that experience their whole entire life, and now you're trying to tell them or how they should feel, how they should view the world. Like, I mean, you view the world as you view the world, because you lived in that world. And I don't believe in victimization either. But I mean, how can you tell a person just like, you have women, and then now you have transsexuals trying to be women, and they're trying to tell you how women should be. That's really weird for a person to do that. Speaking of weird, I ran across this, and this is okay. So these are religious, a church maybe, and you have the Black congregation standing up, and then you have the white congregation kneeling down and praying. Okay, they're taking the knee. It's really weird to me that they're doing this. And I think it's almost like, I don't know. You guys put it in the chat. Let me know what you think.
We know he's in God and he no longer can be here. In honor of his legacy, we're not rioting, God. We're not shaming anybody, God. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord. You brought the thunder and rain today, God, because Satan takes the L today. Father, in Jesus' name, you get the victory. Father, we ask for forgiveness from
I don't know why it's acting up. Let me see if I can bring it up again.
being here. In honor of his legacy, we're not rioting, God. We're not shaming anybody, God. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord. You brought the thunder and rain today, God, because Satan takes the L today. Father, in Jesus' name, you get the victory. Father, we ask for forgiveness from our Black brothers and sisters for years and years of racism, of systematic racism.
Why in the hell this lady crying? What? Why is she crying? And I guess this white guy is, asking God for forgiveness for slavery and discrimination or whatever. But have you actively discriminated? And then you get all the Black folks like, yeah, ooh, yeah. And this Black lady over here crying. She crying her tears. Like, why are you crying? Do you guys find that kind of weird that someone is praying to God, asking for forgiveness on something that they never did? Like, are you insane? What the hell is wrong with you? I just don't understand that. And this guy standing with his arms crossed, like what God are you praying to? That you're asking for forgiveness for a sin that you didn't commit. Are you a priest? Are you Jesus? You're asking forgiveness for the whole entire nation, even the people that's dead, that committed crimes against or racism against Black people. Like, make it what makes sense. This is that almost great white hope type of crap. Like, what kind of cynical? To me, this is sick. Like, I don't know the words. I don't know the words to describe this, but to me, it's like disgusting to me. Maybe you guys think of it a little bit different than I do, but I find this is troubling to me.
We know he's being God and he no longer can be here. In honor of his legacy, we're not rioting, God. We're not shaming anybody, God. We're just humbling ourselves before you. Yes, Lord. You brought the thunder and rain today, God, because Satan takes the L today. Father, in Jesus' name, you get the victory. Father, we ask for forgiveness from our Black brothers and sisters for years and years of racism, of systematic racism.
And this guy right here. Yes. Are you kidding me? Then you got all the white brothers and sisters kneeling. Forgive us. And they standing. All the Black people standing. And she crying her eyes out. Like, why the hell are you crying? What what's wrong with you? See, things like this, I don't deal with a lot of rhetoric like this. I grew up in church, but if I had to go through this, to me, I would walk out. Don't even pray. I would like, okay, this is way too fake for me. This is way too, I can't be a part of this. This is not of God. And I will refuse to be a part of this because she's being too much. And he's like, oh yes, I always wanted this apology from someone. Like they actually personally committed some injustice towards them. And then, like, why in the world? Okay, it's nothing wrong. Okay, I'm going to pray for my Black brothers and sisters. Okay, we're going to pray for, but why can't we just all stand and hold hands? Or why can't we all kneel together? To me, this is so weird. I don't even know what to say. Praying to the God of the woke. Right, because what God, and that's what I don't understand. What God are you praying to? Like, what? I don't understand. Praying to the God of the world. I saw a super chat. Jabal, thank you for the super chat. Jabal Tariq, thank you for the super chat. I mean, to me, this is kind of crazy, and it's really weird that a person would do this. That buzz killer with his cry. I don't know what what is going on in this one. Let me go back to Twitter. What is Twitter saying about this? I don't know if you guys follow Dom Lucra. but he puts out some interesting things. The fact that they crying is what offends me the most. It's very offensive. Yeah, like like what the hell are you crying for, woman? Like, and he's pouring his heart out. Oh God, forgive us for the sins. Like, what sins have you committed? Like, are you talking about the whole race of white people? Like, who are you praying for on their behalf? Like, have you committed some sins? Like, or crimes against black people? I don't understand where he's going with this. This is interesting, Treat. It says both of these people are mentally enslaved by the Marxist ideology of CRT. I believe that's a true statement. Yeah, that crying is more false than Judas. Somebody's mad. Trader Jill, she said, "What the actual F is this? My God, is there anything worse more than racist than an idiotic white person who thinks Black America needs them as saviors? The audacity and arrogance is just mind blowing." Somebody else says, "Yup, as I keep saying, these are the white people to watch out for because their guilt stems from their feelings of superiority. Same type of white people who wrote this for the Smithsonian, claiming things like being on time, individualism, hard work are whiteness." I never saw this one before, you guys. Oh, I can't download it. Anyway. Okay, I remember something like this. It was a girl on Twitter. She was saying that being on time is white. No, being on time saying you got your shit together. Husband is the breadwinner and head of household. Wife is a homemaker and subordinate to the husband. Children shall have their own rooms and be independent. That's white culture. No, I mean, like literally, that described my household right there. So I don't know what they're talking about. Statues of power. Wealth equals worth. Your job is who you are. Respect authority. Have value on ownership of goods, space, and property. I guess that's white culture, but I mean, that's with any culture. That's American culture. I wouldn't say that's just white culture. A religion, Christianity is the norm. Okay, so the devil is the norm. Like, if you don't believe in God, who do you believe in? The devil. Or you're what is it, atheist? Like, is that white? Is that white culture? I guess. Um, Listen to this. Emphasis on scientific method, objective, rational, linear thinking, cause and effect relationship, quantitative emphasis. You're talking about critical thinking skills? That's whiteness to have critical thinking. They're saying this is it, the Smithsonian. This is a infographic at the Smithsonian building. Now they're just being an asshole. It says aesthetics. Based on European culture, steak and potatoes bland is best. Women's beauty based on blonde, thin Barbie. I don't think that. Man's attractiveness based on economic status, power, and intellect. Well, that's everybody's attractiveness. A man's attractiveness is if he got a job. Yeah, of course. Like, what are we saying here? That's just white people. White people. A white woman is the only white people that want men with a job. Like, what are we saying here? It's listen to this justice based on English common law. No, based on American law. Like, what world are we living in? Like, we acting like black people or any other race of people that are Americans don't subscribe to this. Like, what are you talking about? You're saying because the foundation of America, British or wherever you came from, Anglo-Saxon foundation of America was from white people. So we're saying that other people from other races or other cultures, even though they're in America, they don't subscribe to this. I mean, I know you have your own way of doing things, but if you're in America, of course you're going to follow American laws because you're from America. They said protect property and entitlements. Why wouldn't you protect your property? These are, what are we saying here? What is it called when people freeload off of you, or when they're into your squatters? So squatters are other than white people. I know some white people that squat, and to me this is kind of weird. Competition, be number one. Win at all costs. I don't know about win at all costs, but you got to put some work. But yeah, what's wrong with being competitive? You know who wrote this though? This is that liberal type of, that really extreme progressive liberal. Everyone's a winner. A family is not just mom and dad. A family could be just your mom and she has the kids, not the non-traditional family. The breadwinner, it could be the mom, and you can have a stay-at-home dad, that kind of thing. So anything that's anti-American and anti-family, that's what this reads. Really weird. I didn't want to talk about this, but this was in the post, so thought about it. But like I said, this is super, super cringy. I don't know who does this kind of stuff. Like, what the hell? The last thing I want to talk about is this lady crying. This is really cringe, you guys. This lady is crying. Can we say I have mental issues without saying I have mental issues? And I think, and she's not a lady, I think she's a transsexual.
Honestly, don't know what to do, but like, honestly.
So she went to a bar and I guess she misgendered. She went to a gay bar. They either misgendered her or she misgendered them. They got mad at her and they kicked her out. No, they called her a lady and she went bonkers. Well, you got on a lipstick and a halter top. What do you want me to call you? This is at a gay bar. And they got mad at her. And so she had a breakdown, a mental breakdown.
You don't know what to do, but like, there was like a really bad experience. Basically, I was just getting a drink at the bar and they called both Azul and I ladies. After they were done making the drink, I went up and I was like, some people don't refer to themselves as ladies, but it's okay that you didn't know. And in a gay bar, so I should feel safe. To man turned it around. They got so mad at me and they took the drink away from my wife and I. He hit the bar, like, because he was like, are you serious? You're doing the same thing to me. How? And then they kicked us out. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, how am I supposed to feel? This was the first time that I've like told somebody I felt brave enough to tell somebody my identity. And I just wanted to let him know, and I told him it's okay that you didn't know. He was still mad at me.
Are you guys listening to this? So, regular gay people, they had enough with your bullshit. These are regular people, homosexuals or whatever you want to call it, but they had enough. Even though you're at a gay bar, they don't care about how you identify. You got a damn dress on, they're gonna call you a lady because that's what you're appearing as. So why are you mad? And then you want to correct people saying, don't call me a lady. Well, you look like a lady. I'm like, what are you talking about? So they don't want that bullshit. Even gays don't like it. So stop it with the madness. And you're crying. Like a nut job.
For being myself and for my wife being themselves.
Oh my God. I can't believe this got to start over.
There was like a really bad experience. Basically, I was just getting a drink at the bar and they called both Azul and I ladies. After they were done making the drink, I went up and I was like, some people don't refer to themselves as ladies, but it's okay that you didn't know. And in a gay bar, so I should feel safe. To man turned it around. They got so mad at me and they took the drink away from my wife and I. He hit the bar, like, because he was like, are you serious? You're doing the same thing to me. How? And then they kicked us out. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Like, how am I supposed to feel? This was the first time that I've like told somebody I felt brave enough to tell somebody my identity. And I just wanted to let him know, and I told him it's okay that you didn't know. He was still mad at me for being myself and for my wife being themselves. Just her. We were kicked out so fast. And I tried talking to the other person. He came over and was like, what's going on? It was another straight white man. When I told him he's just not respecting our identity and I don't understand why. And he was like, you know what, just leave. And I got kicked out of a bar. Technically supposed to be a queer bar, but it's just gay white men.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was supposed to be a positive experience. I felt so embarrassed.
I want to let you know.
Yeah.
Fucking furious and livid.
I know, it's so bad, like, imagine if I didn't accept you for just being gay. Dude, like, are you serious? And he's told me, I'm being a gentleman calling you a lady. That's not something bad. Like, I'm just sharing that part, and I just wanted you to be like, okay, sorry.
What would you like?
What would you like to hear? And, like, it's not like...
People don't give a fuck. You look like a lady. Lady. They don't, what do they want? What you want them to call you? Some people don't refer to them as a lady. Bitch, do you want the drink or not? You trying to be all politically correct or convert people. You're in the bar. Nobody cares about what you feel. You got a damn skirt on and a halter top and some red lipstick. Lady, that's what they're going to call you. If you want to look like a it, be more confusing. So they, oh, what? Excuse me. Hey, you. Then people could open up the conversation, but people don't want this conversation. They're tired of it. Even at the gay bar.
Like we even talk a lot. It felt like a dad, like yelling at you. Oh my God.
Because you're a nut job. You are a nut job and you're crying on the internet talking about somebody referred to you as a lady. That's the most insane thing I ever heard. Oh my God, they called me a lady. Well, what do you want me to call you? Like, excuse me, sir. Like, what is it, sir, ma'am, lady, miss? Like, what do you want me to call you? Because that's what normal people do. You thought that you was gonna go into this gay bar and it's gonna be like, oh, we accept you for it. No, they tired of you people. Even gay people are tired of you type of people trying to disrupt everything. Just keeping it simple. Hey man, hey dude, hey lady, hey girl, hey ma'am. Like, just simple. Simple is two genders. It's not a complex thing. You made a supposed to be a wonderful experience. You're getting libations and going out, having fun, and you made it into this experience. Crying because someone called you a lady because you look like a lady. And then you got your boyfriend rubbing your back because he probably liked that kind of stuff. Oh, look how so weak she is. And he looked pretty weak. Oh, look at her. I gotta comfort her. So he's probably just as crazy as you are.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna have some water. And I'm okay. It's just hard.
One more thing that I wanted to add is that he yelled at my wife and told them.
Oh, so your wife is actually, what is it called? The butch person. So you guys are lesbians and you don't want to refer yourself as lesbians, maybe. So you gender yourself in something else. So you're no longer a lesbian. I'm not for sure, but it was a gay bar. You went in a gay bar. They called you ma'am or lady and you got mad. And you look like a lady though. That's what you look like. Now your wife looks more like a man. She walking around with her chest open.
that he sees us as ladies, and so he will always refer to us as ladies. Bye. And at the end of the day, transphobia within the community is so disgusting.
Are you trans though? So you want to be referred? Now I'm totally confused. I thought she was a lady. Put it in the chat. Is this a lady or is this a man? I don't know. I'm confused. You look like a lady. You got some boobs, lipstick. Your face look pretty lady-ish like. I don't see no man shoulders. I don't see
Within the
no neck. You know that Adam's apple. I know some men don't have it. You could get a surgery to get that removed, but I don't see that on there. You got a nice soft voice. You can't get that voice with hormones, I don't think. I'm confused, you guys. I'm totally confused. Her boyfriend pretends to be a woman and she's pretended to be a man. Is that what it is? I'm tired. I can't. I can't take it. She has a wife who dresses like a man and she dresses like a lady, taking offense as being called a man. I just don't understand. I'm confused on this. Like I'm really confused. I thought I knew what was going on, but then she put she put a monkey wrench in the plan. I just don't understand. I really don't understand. I don't even know what to say on this one. And she's using the word transphobe. So I guess she is a man, and the wife. The wife, maybe she had a mastectomy. She don't got no breasts. You got to be really messed up in the head. Okay, so you don't is it because I want to be a traditional man and woman, but I want to be a woman, so I got to seek out a butch lesbian? I'm confused. I don't know. I don't know about this one. This totally took a wrong turn. It took a wrong turn, and I thought I had it all together, but she put. I thought I had it all together, but anyway, I'm not gonna spend too much longer on this. I just, woo, telling you, that was confusing. I don't think I want to talk about anything else today, you guys. I just wanted to get online. So I'm going to try to go online tomorrow, see what's happening in the news. Hopefully we'll have something exciting going on. Thank you for tuning in once again, you guys. It's about midnight here. You guys, I want you to make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. And I am sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.